It's the best way to start your NFL Sunday. Welcome everybody back to Sunday Morning Slants. I'm your host, Matt Watson, joined alongside the casting crew. How are we tonight, gentlemen?
Pretty good.
Beautiful. Fantastic.
Hello.
What's up, man?
All right. So tonight we are bringing back a game, and if you've listened to the podcast in previous seasons, you know it well. It's called Buy One, Sell One, and it's a little stock market game based in the world of the NFL. So really the principle of it is we take a team who's, either down on their luck or having a solid season, and we're going to buy their stock. They can take it to the next level. On the flip side, we see a team, who maybe started out too hot and we don't think it's going to continue, or maybe it's a bad team and we're going to take it even a step further, a step lower. So the principle is like, trading stocks, we're trading stocks with NFL teams. And if you have listened to those past episodes, you will know that Mason, who is on tonight, has typically been the hottest when it comes to his stock trades. So we'll start with the teams that you should be buying stock in after 3 weeks of the NFL season. So Mason, I will let you kick things off. What team are you buying stock in thus far in 2025?
All right, we're gonna go for the big one here. All right, we're gonna buy this while it's real low, and if it hits, it's gonna hit big.
The big broker.
As real listeners know, I picked the Bengals and the Lions to make the Super Bowl. Wasn't looking too hot after 2 weeks in the NFL, but the Lions are looking pretty good, and I still think you should buy on the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that the Bengals are going to end up making a trade for a veteran quarterback, and they're going to be able to stay afloat, whether that's Russell Wilson, who just got benched, Kirk Cousins, who's just sitting down in Atlanta. I think that with enough veteran presence, with the weapons that Cincinnati has, they can stay afloat and stay around, maybe by the time Joe Burrow comes back, they're like 6 and whatever by the time he comes back.
If they're 500, they could be okay.
That's what I mean. Like hover somewhere around 500, get Joe Burrow back. We already talked about a few weeks ago. The last 3 games, I think, in the Bengals schedule, which is when he's anticipated to come back, are pretty much all softies. It was like the Dolphins and 2 other teams that they should definitely win if Joe Burrow's at the helm. And it usually takes Joe Burrow about 3 weeks to kind of get in his groove. So if he comes back from injury,
before he gets hurt again, maybe.
Nah. He's done for this year. He's got it out of the way now. So that's what's good for the Bengals. He got
it done early.
He's a comeback player.
Although I think a lot of people are down on the Bengals right now, I still believe that they will make the playoffs. So that's my prediction for the bye, is that the Bengals are still going to end up making the playoffs this year, even though it looks pretty bleak right now.
What quarterback would you have them trade for if you had to pick?
Probably Kirk, just because I feel like what we've seen out of Russ is just they're going to have the same issues. The Bengals offensive line is just not. It's just really bad. It's
the Joe Burrow and where he throws it, or it's Joe Burrow with Penei Sewell where he can throw it to anybody, or it's Joe Burrow with anybody and he's just getting sacked and he can't throw it.
That has aged so well.
Luke made that same reference last week.
I'm sorry. It's just so relevant every week.
Mason, let me ask you a question. How would you feel if Cincinnati went out and traded for eat a W Jameis Winston?
Honestly, that might be best case scenario. They could legitimately I think that would be so much fun too, because then I think the Bengals could go on a game where they score 50 points and then the next week score 3. It would be so entertaining, honestly.
He can still do the 5 touchdowns one week and then he'll do 5 picks next week. It's fine.
Dude, imagine him just throwing it up F it. Jamar Chase is down there somewhere, and then he has 3 touchdowns in a game.
He would go deep on every other pass, bro. Every other pass would be
Russell Wilson's doing with the Giants. It's 4th and 5, and he's throwing 50-yard heaves down the field.
To Malik Neighbors.
That's probably why he got benched, which I think is crazy. I think they should have just let Russ play it out a little further. Not that I think the Giants were going to do anything anyway, but
I will say, looking at the Giants' schedule, they kind of have a cupcake next game or two, and then it gets tough. 6 or 7 games in a row are tough. So if you're gonna start Dart, might as well do it now before it gets real tough. Ease them in a little bit, I will say.
Might as well do it against the Broncos.
Well, you get the Chargers. It's Chargers this week, and then is it Eagles No.
Chargers, Eagles 2 out of 3 weeks at one point.
Yeah, I know Chargers, Broncos, Eagles twice, and there was another team in there too. But
crazy.
All right. So Mason is buying stock on the Cincinnati Bengals. We will see if his prediction that they make the playoffs, even though Joe Burrow is out for an extended period of time, comes to fruition. So, Pat, I will go to you next. Who are you buying stock on 3 weeks into the season?
I'm buying stock on a team that I think a lot of people have overlooked. I think a lot of people are down on this team because, the quarterback that they started the year with is not the quarterback who they have now. And you might be thinking, I'm obviously talking about the Bengals. I'm talking about the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings, who now have Carson Wentz at the helm, started the season with J.J. McCarthy. Awful to start the season. But Carson Wentz just led them to a nice little W on Sunday with the help of the defense. And I just think that the Minnesota Vikings, with a veteran QB at the helm, Kevin O'Connell doing the coaching, I think that they are going to have a good season. I think they're 2-1 now, but they get Jordan Addison back soon. Justin Jefferson's there. Jordan Mason. I think they're going to have a successful season in that division. And yeah, I think your one-time Super Bowl champion Carson Wentz is gonna lead these guys to the promised land. So, Burt Bell Award winner in 2017, by the way.
Anyway, I know last week I talked about how I think J.J. McCarthy is just not a good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I think Wentz kind of just came in and did what he had to do this past week against the Bengals, which I'm not going to give him a ton of credit in the world because I don't think anybody believes the Bengals have a good defense. And then obviously the Vikings just put on an absolute clinic in all phases of the game. So I think once he faces a couple, he gets a few games in, I think we'll really see what Carson Wentz can amount to. I think they have the Steelers this upcoming week in London. I believe they have back-to-back London games, so that'll be interesting. Carson Wentz across the pond.
Football.
Yes, all-day football. So is it Prince William that looks just like Carson Wentz? Maybe he slots in for a quarter under Kevin O'Connell. I don't know.
They run a trick play.
Yeah, Wentz to William for a touchdown.
Well, I'm pretty sure when you're in England, you have to salute or bow or something. So that's probably easy, like a 2-point conversion play if they need that, like a different package look.
Ooh.
It's basically the tush push, right? I mean,
pretty
it's
much
guaranteed to work. But
I
just don't see it with the Vikings. I don't see it, Pat. I feel like that's not money well spent, in my opinion. I didn't think the Vikings were going to be very good coming into the season, and I just don't think moving to the backup in the third week is going to spell anything for them. Especially because if they're insistent on J.J. McCarthy playing again when he's healthy, I just feel like that's going to derail the rest of their season, quite frankly.
I think getting rid of Darnold or letting him walk before seeing McCarthy play at all was probably a mistake. And in hindsight, it's a mistake because, Darnold in maybe year 2 or 3 of a system under Kevin O'Connell can really take that leap. We saw him take a big leap in the first year, but now he's in Seattle throwing to Jackson Smith. I can't say that third word, but it's tough. It's tough to watch a quarterback that won, what was it, like 14 games for you, like walk. So I'm with you, man. I don't buy the Vikings.
We'll see. It was always Carson Wentz, and that's what you guys need to remember.
I'll try my best.
He was just trying to get to his hometown team. That's all he wanted.
That's all he ever wanted.
But he just wanted to go home.
Well, he's home now, so we'll see if he can make it his permanent home. But okay, so Pat is buying stock in the Minnesota Vikings. Ethan, I'll go to you. Which team are you buying stock on after week 3 of the NFL season?
I think I'm going to take the Ravens. I mean, they're 1-2, but I know their defense is not good at all. Like, is their defense giving up, 30 points a game, 33 points a game or something ridiculous like that?
Probably,
At a certain level, that has to average out at some point where maybe they're not, the best. Maybe they're not good at any point this year, but you would think maybe if they can give up 25 instead of 33.
They're also playing explosive offense. And, this is what you saw with, the was that the 2022 or no, the 23 Eagles, I guess, where they were still kind of looked like a good defense, but it's because they were playing a bunch of scrubs. And then when they played a good offense, they got their asses handed to them. So against some of these, I sense some of these middle of the road teams, they should be able to hold teams to 20 points, I would think.
They're giving up
Like
32
the Lions
a
and the
game.
Bills are like
32.
32
Like-
a game. They're 31st in the NFL in points against.
Like
I
if
don't
you
know
give
who's
up
32nd.
like at some point, like what is the most like a team gives up a season? I feel like you can't get like how hard that's got to be so difficult to give up 30 points every week. Like at some point they're gonna even out, and Derrick Henry is gonna stop fumbling the ball at some point. Like he can't fumble the ball every game, right?
I don't know.
He had 2 fourth quarter fumbles in the first 10 years of his career, and he has 2 in 3 weeks. Which I mean, again, I feel like the Ravens are just—it's like when Seattle was like really good back in the day, when they had Russ and they had Pete Carroll and they had like the Legion of Boom. They would always start off like 2-2 or like 1-2 or something like that, and then they would rip off like 10 straight wins. And the Ravens just kind of—they seem like the team to me that even if they could even be 1-3, like they could lose to Kansas City this week, and I would still buy them to go on a big streak at some point this year.
I would agree with that. I think the Chiefs might be the last game on their schedule I'm looking at that could realistically give them a loss. Maybe the Packers in Week 17, but you get Chiefs, Texans, Rams, Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals, Steelers, Bengals, Patriots, Packers, Steelers. They could realistically win out.
well, they're
Yeah,
gonna
like they
lose those Steelers games because
Yes, because it's the AFC North. It just happens. There's going to be some weird game. The Browns maybe the Browns block another kick and they stun them in the fourth quarter or something like that. Something weird could happen.
The Browns have split the season series for the last 3 years versus the Ravens, so there's something to that.
Okay, I like that stat. I like that stat a lot.
Well, they just beat the Browns, wouldn't you? If you're buying stock of the Ravens, would you not like that stat?
Yeah, well, I know, but still,
He finds it intriguing.
it's fun. It's intriguing. It's like when the Patriots would like lose in Miami every year. Like they're still like they would still win 12 games in the year, but it was just that weird. Like there was just that one weird thing that happened every year. It was just
Everything in balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If the Ravens continued at this clip, giving up 32 points per game, they would give up the 6th most opponents' points per game on average in NFL history. The Lions own the 4th and the 5th spot.
of course they do.
So, but what's even crazier is the Lions own the 4th spot from their 2020 season, and they won 5 games that year. So
Stafford was dogging things. Hey, what was the number 1 team there, Pat?
the number 1 team, 1966 Giants. They gave up 35.8 points per game on average.
Damn! Wait, what year was that?
1966.
Dude, they didn't even
That's
throw
crazy.
the ball back then. That is diabolical.
Your
That's
Denver
actually nuts.
Broncos in 1963 are the number 2 team on the list. They gave up 33.8 points per game.
They
And
were
they
giving
won
up
2 games.
They were
I
I want to
giving up
know
30
I wanna know
points to fullbacks, man. Like they were fullback.
Hey, fullbacks, bring back the fullback is what I'm hearing.
the
Like-
1966 Giants beat Washington 13-10.
Nice.
Ooh,
What a game.
that was way below average. Nice.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
showing by them that
they
day.
finally
Without
learned.
that game, their average is probably 40. Like,
Yeah,
You're probably right.
it's probably unreal.
It's the outlier.
Let's see. A. Thomas caught a 29-yard touchdown catch from E. Morrill in the 4th quarter to be the game-winning score for them. So
I'm sure those fantasy teams are going crazy. Back there.
Did Y.A. Tittle play, or was he retired by that point?
it does not look like it. Sonny Jurgensen was the
Oh,
Washington
he was an Eagle.
quarterback.
He was an Eagle at one point too.
He threw 2 picks. Maybe that was the difference maker
That was the difference. They lost the turnover battle.
in the game. Eagles were 9-5 that year in the AFL. Good times.
All right. Well, back to the present. Ethan is buying stock in the Baltimore Ravens, so we'll see how.
Except for the Browns
Ravens
game.
do.
Except for the Browns.
Except for the Browns. So Ethan's gonna get a loss against the Browns, but other wins. Ethan, what do you have as your prediction for where the Ravens end up?
I'll say they could go 12-5.
12-5.
I think it go 12-5, maybe even what is it? I'll give them the Browns game and one more game, so they could go max 13-4.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Coop. I'm gonna throw it over to you. Your first time playing Buy One, Sell One. Which team are you buying stock in?
What's up, guys? First of all, I want to say thank you for having me on. Very excited to be here. All right, the team I am buying stock in is the JETS, Jets.
Oh my word!
Now, I know you guys might think I'm crazy, but listen, like the point of buying stock is like meeting a girl in Atlantic City. You pump and dump. You buy low and you sell high. So if there is ever a time to buy stock, it is right now. The Jets are 0-3, right? So their stock is not going to get any lower. You better buy now or else you're going to regret it.
It's like Mike McDaniel.
Was that?
It's like Mike McDaniel. His stock is never going to be lower, so you might as well just buy it now.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, Ethan, it sounds like I have my first buyer.
Yeah.
No matter who's taking snaps at QB, like obviously Justin Fields got hurt. Tyrod Taylor is a Virginia Tech legend. He has winning in his DNA. You go back to that 2012 Ravens team that won the Super Bowl.
2012.
Guys, I'm trying to do a read here. Guess who was the backup quarterback on that team? That's right, Tyrod Taylor. Justin Fields playing with Garrett. I got 5 on it. Wilson, of the national champion, the Ohio State University. Of course, they didn't win it while they were there, but they have that like good program winning mentality DNA installed in them. Right. So they're 0-3. They took a bad loss to the Bills, 30-10. But there's a lot of good teams that would lose to the Bills right now. Like the Ravens are one of them. They lost in a dogfight with the Steelers, 32-30. That was a really, really close game. They had a great running attack. And, sometimes Aaron Rodgers throwing 4 touchdowns, what can you do? And then last week, right, they lost to the Buccaneers 29-27 when the referees just handed Tampa Bay the game. So I'm looking at a team that's 0-3, but could, like, under the surface is like a really darn good football team. You take a look at some of the stats. So they're top 22 in offense. That's ahead of teams like the Texans and Bengals who have drafted quarterbacks high, like number 1 and number 2. You look at Stroud and Burrow in the last few years. So the Jets are doing this without a top QB and with their starting QB out for the past few games. They're number 10 in rush yards total. So you look at that dynamic dual threat quarterback effect. And that also contributes to being number 1 in the league in scramble percentage. Like I said, 2 dual threat QBs, elite ones at that in the backfield is going to provide good results. Their defense is a little bit worse. I will say it's top 27. But they are top 4 in ADOT, which is average depth of target. And they are top 10 in success percentage. Don't ask me what that means, but they're top in defensive success percentage. So under this 0-3 facade is a team that could legitimately contend in a down AFC East. Like you think about teams like the Patriots, whose running backs are literally allergic to holding on to the football. You look at a team like the Miami Dolphins, who I don't even know if the team is showing up for the game half the time. So they've been close to beating real contenders this year. You think about the Steelers and the Buccaneers, like 2 really good teams, losing by a total of 4 points overall. They're 1 move away from being legit. And then, to close it all off, fellas, like they have their next 6 games are at Miami, so that's a win. Versus Dallas, good to get them at home. Versus Denver, good to get them at home. That's a win. Versus Carolina, Bryce Young ain't doing anything crazy, so that's probably a win. At Cincinnati, that will be tough, but Browning will still be there probably. Burrow may be back, but if it's Browning, that's probably a win. And then
what if it's Kirk?
And then a home versus Cleveland, that's probably the toughest battle. But that's probably a win too. So you're looking at the next 6 games they should be favored in. So honestly, guys, like to give my end of season predictions, I think they can sneak into 9-8, maybe 10-7, and fighting for a wild card bid. And especially if you trade for DJ Moore, I think this likelihood skyrockets. So I am buying the New York Jets as my team in 2025.
Wow.
Love
Wow.
to say it.
I don't even know what to say to that.
He had me an A dot.
Yeah.
I do want to
say,
go
I
ahead, Ethan.
can kind of understand what you're saying in a sense where I don't think the Jets will be 10-7, but I think that they could be one of those like bad teams that's kind of good. Like they could hold in there, maybe they could get to, 6 or 7 wins after starting 0-3. And I think, Aaron Glenn, he might be an okay head coach. He dances pretty good.
He does.
He does dance pretty good.
He be dancing.
It's the intangible.
Yeah, Coop, you lost me when you referenced they're a top 27 defense in whatever category. There are 32 teams in the league, my friend.
You really knew how to sell that.
Did I mention that they're top 4 in average depth of target?
You did. That you did. But
Wow.
look, I'm not buying any Jets stock, but bless whoever might be all in on the Jets. They got a
Got
fun
me
team.
buying.
And Matt, I appreciate that, but you look back at people in 2012 who considered buying Bitcoin, and today they're like, "Damn, what my life could have been if I just bought." Like, I'm just saying, there's way more upside than there is risk here.
It's so.
I mean, you're not wrong. There's absolutely no risk.
Penny stock.
That is a penny stock. You're right.
Teron
Okay.
Taylor's a dog. 12,500
Yeah.
career passing yards
Sure, yeah.
over 10
years old.
years.
All right. Well, Coop is buying stock in the Jets. Good luck if you do as well. So the team that I'm going to buy stock in is the 3-0 Los Angeles Chargers. 3 straight division wins to start off their season, as much as that pains me to say. Justin Herbert, we came on here a few weeks back, and we talked about, what if Justin Herbert really finally pops? And he is popping. I think he's right now the favorite to win the MVP in the National Football League. I think he's just playing a fantastic brand of football. Year 2 under John Harbaugh. We had kind of talked about, the Chargers were very much a defense first, control the ball, running team last year. And this year they've come out and they're just slinging the rock. Quentin Johnson is growing in year 3. Keenan Allen comes back, and after looking lethargic with the Bears, he's back to being prime Keenan Allen again. And I just think they have a really good defense. They're an all-around really solid team. And I think at this point, the Chargers have run through half of their division games through 3 weeks. They just have to stay pretty consistent for the rest of the season to probably win the AFC West. I did not have them making the playoffs this year. And I think what I'm buying them to do is win the AFC West, as much as that pains me to say, because I did pick Denver to do it. But through 3 weeks of the season, the Broncos aren't showing any real signs of competition and a will to fight. So the Chargers picked up the win in the last-minute field goal on Sunday to take the edge over Denver, and I think that's going to come back and haunt them late in the year. So I'm going to buy Chargers stock. I think they're going to win the AFC West. I think Justin Herbert's going to win MVP, and this might finally be the year the Chargers go on a little bit of a run because, God knows they haven't done anything in recent seasons.
Wow. Buying a 3-0 team, you went into the bank with all your money. You said, let me take a certificate of deposit out for 1 year at a 1.3% interest rate. And in a year, I'll collect my money back when they have gotten bounced in the first round of the playoffs.
Look, I don't believe the Chargers have won the division in over a decade. It's probably like 15 years since they last won the division. Couldn't tell you if they've ever had an MVP.
Probably still in his prime back then.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates, Danny Tomlinson was probably still on the Chargers when they last won the division. So this would be a leap for the Chargers, in my opinion, to overcome the Chiefs and to take hold of the division. It's a little bit different because I don't know if anybody really anticipated them being 3-0 and looking this good through 3 weeks. I think you could have said
thought they could be okay, but I don't think they thought that they would be where they're at. Yeah, like
with
I
Justin
think they
Herbert,
kicked some ass.
There's always a chance with Justin Herbert.
Yeah, what if, right?
If you just say they could be 3-0,
and they are,
and
he and Madison Beer are taking the AFC West crown home this year.
I think the coolest thing about the Chargers season so far is that all 3 of their wins have been against their divisional opponents. So the Raiders, the Chiefs in Brazil, obviously. I'm surprised none of the teams got stolen. And then the Denver Broncos to finish that out. I do think the NFL should probably look into exploring an investigation whether to see if the team is stealing signs. I know that might be something controversial to say, but, it is Harbaugh, and they have looked really good. So I think it's just worth asking.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad question to pose.
Maybe he'd be better with JJ McCarthy.
Maybe.
Who knows?
There's a
Maybe.
thought. There's a
Or
thought.
Connor Stallions.
What kind of
All
A
right,
dot
so-
would they have then?
Yeah, what kind of A-dot? They'd probably be last. All right, so those are the teams we are buying stock in after 3 weeks of the NFL season. Now it is time to sell. If you own stock in any of these teams, it's time to get out now while you still can. Mason, I'll start back up with you. Which team are you selling stock on after 3 weeks of the NFL season?
Yeah, I think we touched on it a little bit last week, but I'm still selling on the Commanders. I know they're not a 3-0 team, so their stock's not as high as it could be. But I mean, I guess they had a pretty good win against the Raiders this past weekend, especially with Jaden Daniels out, and still pretty dominant win. But I just need to see it from the Commanders. I just don't believe in them still. They didn't win a game against a team with a winning record last year. I mean, their 2 wins this year are against teams that aren't really anyone's expecting to be any good, and then they got dominated by the Packers, who are anticipated to be a playoff team. I think the injuries are already stacking up for them. Austin Eckler is going to be a big loss for them. They're going to have to just rely on their rookie pretty much being the bell cow now, running back. And Jaden Daniels has also suffered injuries, which is what we talked about with the kind of game that he plays, which is going to happen. This team's not getting any younger. They're not really getting any more talented because they kind of just went out and got a bunch of old heads, like other than their rookie running back. Like, who's really going to progress as the season goes on? This is kind of what this team is. And I just don't see it with them. I don't think they're going to win a playoff game this year. I think they might have enough talent, and I haven't gone through their complete schedule to see how many essentially scrub teams they could beat up on to see if they'll have enough to make the playoffs. But I just think when you get in the playoffs, I think their insanity run of last year's playoffs was just a little bit of a fluke, and I just don't see it from them this year.
All right.
So while I do think they can still make the playoffs, I don't think their stock's as high as some people might think it should be.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would agree. I don't think that they're. I mean, we're biased, but the thing with Jaden Daniels is, like, how long can he play the style of play that he has without, like, really getting hurt? That's what kind of makes me buy low on the stock, because it's already happened. Like, did he miss any games last year? Or I know he had like a rib injury at one point last year, and
he might have missed like a game or like part of it. Like, he might have gotten knocked out of a game, but then came back or like something like that, I think.
Because didn't Heineke play against the Eagles? If I'm remembering correctly.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
L for me.
Yeah, he's got like a Devonta Smith build, but at quarterback. It's like at least like Jalen and Jalen Hurts took like huge hits this weekend, but he's just a bigger frame guy. He's able to pop up. Like, if Jaden Daniels took one of those hits, and we really haven't seen that yet because he's kind of been able to like move out of the way. Dude, if Jaden Daniels got level like that, his career would probably be over. Like, he's just a twig.
He did start all 17 last year.
Okay. That's just what makes me nervous with him. It's just because I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's like RG3, like PTSD, because you see a skinny Washington quarterback get injured earlier in his career, and then you start to wonder, oh, could this mean anything? But maybe it means nothing. But I don't know. I kind of agree. I think his injury is a little worrisome for his future, maybe just for his style of play.
I think what scares me the most about Washington is their offensive scheme, just because Cliff Kingsbury, obviously last year they ran a lot of like simple concepts, like kind of more spread, kind of based in the air raid, like tempo, but with a lot of like RPOs, gap scheme, stuff like that. So for Jaden Daniels, like in his first year when teams didn't have any tape on him and he's running simple stuff, like it's kind of like Tennessee does in college football with a lot of options and things like that, where you really can hone in on half the field and things like that, and really simplify things for your quarterback. I think that really worked well last year. Obviously, they were pretty good, made it to the NFC Championship game. But when you look at this year, you got a little more tape. You kind of know what to expect a little bit more. Even without the injuries to Daniels, I don't think their offense will be quite as good. And that's what you think about, like the sophomore slump too for a quarterback. I think it will be not great for Daniels this year.
All right. So Mason is saying that he would sell Commander stock. They will not win a playoff game. So that will be interesting to see how that shakes out. Pat, I will go to you. which team are you selling stock on after 3 weeks of the NFL season?
I am selling stock. It's time to get out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The 3-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'll tell you why. Tampa Bay Buccaneers' 3 wins have come against the Falcons, Texans, and Jets, arguably 3 of the worst teams in football this year thus far, unless you're going with Coop and you're buying the Jets very, very soon, right? And these games that they've won, they won by 3 points over the Falcons, they won by 1 point against the Texans, and they won by 2 points against the Jets. So they have, all in all, they are 6 points away from being 0-3 on the season. And who do they have that they're facing down in the next few weeks? They're playing the Birds, they're playing the Seahawks, the 49ers, albeit they're a little bit, in a little bit of hot water right now. But they're playing the Lions. Then they get the Saints, easy win. Patriots, maybe an easy win. But then they play the Bills, the Rams, who held their own against the Eagles, and the Cardinals again. So I think that it's time right now, while Buck stock is at its peak, it's time to sell, go all in on the Jets, and go book that flight to Vegas. I just think that the Bucks, obviously Mike Evans is going to be out for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Egbuka, he's been great. He's balled out, but we've already seen him have some injury troubles as of late. Is Chris Godwin still going to be the same player when he returns from injury? There's a lot of question marks with the Buccaneers, and their defense is really, honestly, the biggest question mark to me. Their defense has been getting lit up by these teams that are really not known for having super dynamic offenses. And my question is, Baker can do it all. I have a lot of faith in Baker. I think he's a great quarterback, but when you don't get help from both sides of the ball, you can't win football games, especially against some high caliber offenses they're about to go up against. So in my opinion, it's at this point, take your Buck stock at its peak and sell it.
That's an interesting idea, because before we were doing this and we talked a little bit off air, I was going to buy Buck stock. And the reason why I was thinking about buying Buck stock was because they've gone 3-0 and they've dealt with some injuries, right? They have not had Chris Godwin yet. Mike Evans got banged up in this last game. I think Michael Mbuka has just broken out, which has been awesome for them. So I think offensively, you have a ton of talent, and I think that's going to get you 11, 12 wins in this league. And I think they're just kind of putting it together defensively. I want to say Tristan Wirfs is going to be back either next week or the week after, so you haven't had your starting left tackle. And they're still winning games, and I think they're just stacking wins at this point. They haven't been pretty, to Pat's point, but I just think Tampa Bay, it was a team that's doing it year in and year out. They've made the playoffs the last couple of years. They've won a few playoff games in recent seasons under Baker. And I think that they're basically a shoo-in for that division, too. So they're automatically really going to make the playoffs. Can they win a couple playoff games?
I don't know. Those Panthers, man.
Get out of here with those Panthers.
Don't let them get hot.
No.
I don't want to hear it.
Keep pounding.
I picked the Panthers and the Cardinals to make the playoffs. Get out of here. But no.
The Cardinals still might, though. The Cardinals still might.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think it's a valid point, Pat. But I could also see it going the other way. They haven't been fully healthy, and they're still stacking wins. So we'll see.
I just think Baker has that grit. He's high motor, first guy in, last guy out type of guy. So, despite them winning close games, they're still winning, to Matt's point. So I don't know. I think I'm holding that stock.
Their average depth of target is 8.8 yards, by the way.
Ooh, I might change that.
It means so it's the where does it rank?
Yeah.
Let me look.
Seems low.
I've just been trusting the AI overview to tell me.
Oh my god.
Actually, the average depth of target has fallen since 2011.
Okay.
It used to be 8.8 in 2011, so the Bucks are playing 2011 offense right now.
Offense was better in 2011.
That's Drew Brees right there.
Yeah. Uh-huh. What's wrong, Air Raid boy? Have to establish the run.
All right. So Pat is selling the Tampa Bay Buccaneers stock. Ethan, I'm going to throw it over to you. After 3 weeks of the season, who are you getting rid of your stock?
I don't know. Do I have the most controversial one? Because I think I'm selling the Packers, man. Talk about a team
that's crazy.
That was feeling themselves so freaking hard, and then they just lost to the Browns. Not did they lose? They only scored 10 points, and I'm going back to my theory that Jordan Love is not good. He did not look that good in that game, and I don't know. They're probably going to make the playoffs. They're definitely going to make the playoffs still, but I don't think that they're going to win a playoff game this year. So that's why I'm selling my stock on them. I mean, Panthers or the Lions went 15-2 last year. Sorry, I have Panthers on the brain, but the Lions went 15-2, didn't win a playoff game. Even if the Packers, they could get 13 wins, I think they're going to have a really good regular season. But I don't know. I don't see them. Something about, I don't know. I think they just felt themselves a little too hard, and I think people bought too much of their stock too fast.
Yeah, I'm buying anything that you're selling, man.
Okay.
Give me all the I think, yeah, you know what? It was a classic letdown game. They overlooked the Browns, and they're now paying for it. But I think you'd rather have that now than, in come January in the playoffs, we're overlooking a team because we've been so great all year. So maybe that's what they needed to get dialed back in. I still think the Packers go to the Super Bowl.
Because I feel like how Mason feels. Like, in a similar way where he thinks that, the Commanders are going to make the playoffs, but they're just not as good as, that level that a lot of people feel they are. That's how I feel about the Packers.
I actually think the Packers needed this loss because, like you said, they were feeling themselves,
The one dude said they were going to go undefeated in the locker room post-game interview.
Come on, dude. Crazy. That is crazy.
They had crowned themselves Super Bowl champions. So I think losing this game is like a wake-up call, and they needed this. I think a good team needs a wake-up call because, I think there's a quote, I don't remember who says it, but you wouldn't forgive things in wins that you wouldn't forgive in losses, So you got to clean up the pass protection. The Browns sacked them 8 times, and given the Browns have the best D-line in the league and statistically the best defense in the league, maybe that's permissible for one game, but I think they needed this wake-up call.
We shall see.
Great teams get a wake-up call and still win the game. That's what you're seeing behind Pat there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Rams are very good. All right. Ethan is selling
is that your
Packers.
Yeah, sell them then, bro.
We're going to go a different direction with myself. But, okay. Coop, we're going to throw it over to you. Which team are you selling stock in after 3 minutes?
Yeah. After 3 weeks of the young NFL season, I'm selling the San Francisco 49ers. First of all, I want to shout out the Charlotte 49ers, the greatest 49ers to play the sport of American football. And before I talk about selling San Fran, I want to talk about the expectations and why I'm selling. I think the expectations coming into this season were that they're kind of a genuine contender for the NFC Championship, maybe the Super Bowl, getting back to their winning ways. They have been one of the best teams of the 2020s. And so that's the expectation. But the reality, I think, is that they're kind of a paper tiger. I think they'll have a good regular season record, but I don't think they'll be as good as they're expected to be. And so me, Mason, and Ethan, we kind of got the same thing going on in the NFC. I don't know who's going to win an NFC playoff game this year.
Nobody.
Nobody, I guess. I think, when you look at the division too, Arizona's probably going to be a pushover. I don't think the Rams are going to be as good. But I really think Seattle is improved. I think they're going to be a tougher out than we might have thought going into this year. The emergence of Colorado State Ram legend Torrey Horton has been really productive for Darnold and him together. On the surface, the Niners have an easy schedule. They've got LA, Falcons, Houston, Giants, Carolina, Cleveland, Tennessee coming down the pipe. So that's why I think they'll win games. But their last 3 games too, aren't. It's not going to be easy. We got the Colts, which I'm shocked no one has said anything about the Colts this whole time. They've basically scored every time they've touched the ball. They got the Colts. They got Chicago, who looks to be a little bit improved under Ben Johnson. And then they have Seattle. I think Seattle, that Week 18 game in San Fran versus Seattle might decide the division. So we're talking about a team, the San Francisco 49ers, that their average margin of victory is just 3.4 points. They've had 2 divisional wins, but they haven't looked like great wins over Seattle Week 1. They won by 4. They barely beat Arizona 16-15, and then they beat the Saints, right? Or no, I got that mixed up. But yeah, they beat the Cardinals by 1, which needed some late game magic by Mac Jones. Like, if that's what we're relying on, probably not going to be great. Obviously, Purdy's coming back soon. Their run game, though, has looked stagnant. Their O-line isn't great. McCaffrey is averaging, I think, 65 to 70 rushing yards per game. They're middle of the pack in key categories like expected points average per play on offense. And you look at the D-line, too, which has been a strength of the 49ers for a long time. They're 8th worst in the league in sacks and pressures, 7th worst in the league in containing QBs who get out of the pocket. And that's with Nick Bosa, who's reportedly out for the season with an ACL tear as of. And so losing Bosa as a veteran leader and your best defensive player, you not only lose like your best player, but you lose like the fire and the motivation for getting up for those games with those types of quarterbacks. So, I'm not and I want to preface that I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just being on the record and stating the reality. So, and then finally, they haven't capitalized. They're one of 4 teams that haven't had an interception at all this year. So the D-line isn't getting home and the secondary isn't capitalizing. So at the end of the season, I predict them to be pretty solid. I think they'll win 10 to 12 games, probably 11-6 is my prediction. But I think they falter in the first round when they face a good team, especially if they don't win the division and they have to play in a wild card game. I think we could see the Niners out in the first round.
All right, so Cooper is joining the parade and saying another NFC team's not going to win in the playoffs.
They're like, the thing with the Niners is they've been like brittle for years. Like every year with them, it's like they have all the talent on the roster, and then it's just like injury plagued every year, and we're already seeing it again this year. And they're only getting older, so like, how much longer can you hold on? Can you hold on to their stock? Like at a certain point, maybe I don't know if they fall off a cliff, but they're not going to be played to the standard that I feel like they've played at the last couple of years.
I agree. I think that's a pretty decent sell when you're in there, especially because I think some of the other teams in the West are up, on the come up. Seattle, Ethan's picking the Cardinals to make a run. I think there might be just time for new blood to kick in the NFC West. So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And to bring this home, so the team I'm going to sell, and you're going to go, wow, Matt, way to go out on a limb. But I'm going to sell on the Houston Texans, and let me explain why. Yeah, I know that they started off 0-3. But the Texans were projected, to be the easy favorites in the AFC South this year. They had an over-under win total of 9.5 games. And C.J. Stroud is supposed to be the best quarterback in that division. And I'm going to go as far as saying that the Houston Texans will finish last in the AFC South this season.
Ooh,
I think that C.J. Stroud will be the 4th best quarterback by season's end in the AFC South. And I am willing to, jump ship if you have any Texan stock. So they weren't very good last year, but they still kind of smacked together 10 wins. And they capitalized on an awful Justin Herbert performance in the playoffs to get to the next round. And that was it. Season's over from there. Now they've started off 0-3. Mind you, they haven't necessarily played any world beaters. They played the Rams, the Bucs, and the Jags. All quality teams, but by no means, any, Super Bowl favorites. And they haven't looked good in those losses. I think the defense is playing pretty well. But all things considered, this is a team that should be favored to win the division. It should be a team that in year 3 of CJ Stroud needs to be taking the next step. This is a guy, in theory, that should be, favored to go to a conference championship game. A guy who's ready to go and take that leap, and he's just gone backwards, in my opinion. And I know that, I know that the Titans are in this division. Rookie Cam Ward, Titans are 0-3, so by me saying they're going to finish last, it means the rookie's going to have to start picking up some wins. But, the Texans have a first-place schedule from last year. They're not playing well. And I think the Colts, like Cooper mentioned, nobody's really talked about the Colts. I think they're legit. I don't think this is just Daniel Jones coming out of nowhere and hanging around for a few weeks. I think they're a very legitimate team. They could be very good. I think they have a very solid
team looks nice on him. He turned into a good quarterback as soon as he put on a good number.
Indiana Jones looks good. So I don't know, man. I think even the Jaguars are playing good football so far this season. So that's my prediction. I think the Texans are going to finish last in a division they were favored to win. And I think C.J. Stroud is going to finish at the bottom in terms of the 4 quarterbacks when we look back at the end of the season. I think he's taken, way too many steps back. I think he's regressed too hard. And I think the Texans are going nowhere fast.
Matt, what do you think of Cam Ward? What kind of season do you think he's going to have?
I think Cam Ward looked really good when he played the Broncos week 1. I think he is a guy who has obviously no talent on that Titans team, like especially offensively. They are just inept of talent. I thought Calvin Ridley's their number 1, but I feel like he's really underperformed this year. A lot of drops early. I just don't think there's a lot of talent with the Titans, but I think Cam Ward is going to put the team on his back. I think they could probably win 5 games by the end of the season if I had to make a prediction. I think he's playing really well despite what he has around him. It genuinely looks like, in my opinion, when Cam Newton took over the Panthers his rookie year, and he came out swinging very early on, I think the Panthers back then were more talented than these Titans are, but that's just kind of the vibe I'm getting. I think Cam Ward's going to be a legit quarterback.
It's very weird that he's a number 1 pick and no one's talking about him at all.
Nobody's talking about him.
Like,
that's because he's throwing to Van Jefferson. That's why.
Throwing to Van Jefferson and Elik Ayomenor, like who?
Everybody's talking about Shador being the 3rd string in Cleveland. Right. Nobody's talking about Cam Ward and what he's doing so far. So
that's such a great comparison, Matt. Honestly, that's so true.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but yeah. So all things considered, I think the Texans are they're in big trouble, and D'Amico Ryan's gonna have to figure things out. But all right, that is going to conclude tonight's episode of Sunday Morning Slants in our first edition of Buy One Sell One this season. We'll circle back around later in the year, see how our stock picks are doing, and then we'll do a round 2 as we head into the latter half of the season. So thank you everybody for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all those fun things. Thanks again for tuning in, and have a great rest of your night.